Hello, everybody, and welcome to elPablo FC. Today, we're going to be doing the Premier League review of all the games and everything in between. I'm going to start with, pretty much same uh, first game and all of that. And it's been an interesting Premier League weekend with so many things going on left, right, and center. From games happening on Friday to games ending on Sunday to big guns losing and to certain teams, continuing their winning streak as well as getting to the top of the Premier League. And we'll just get that right into it, basically. First and foremost, we'll start with the first game of the weekend that started Leeds versus West Ham. Goals from Aronson and Rodon for Leeds to cap up a 2-1 win against West Ham, who only scored in the 90th minute through Fernandez. Basically, it was an interesting game to watch. I watched that game as it started the weekend. Leeds pulled further clear of Premier League relegation zone after, downing and out of form West Ham, at Etihad. And that's another loss for Nuno Espirito Santo. Nuno Espirito Santo's waited for the first win in Premier League in charge of West Ham, stretched to 4 Premier League matches as his team were beating 2-1 by Leeds United at Elland Road. Now, the tail of the tape was written in the first 15 minutes. Obviously, Leeds went 2-0 up and then just continued to hold their own and all of that. And basically, 3 minutes 3 minutes had elapsed before Afonso Areola was picking the ball out of the net from Noah Kafo, who saw the back of the net. So it's been a super interesting, super amazing time, basically for Leeds to have, taken the lead and stuff. So Leeds actually took the lead again, 15 minutes and with 2 goals. Second goal where Noah Kafo kind of, helped things and all that. Lucas Paqueta as well had reduced the areas when he thundered the ball in off the crossbar after just half an hour mark, but the Brazilian was adjudged to have been offside with an on-field decision confirmed by VAR. So Leeds were defending really well while West Ham huffed and puffed. Now Nuno has drawn 1 and lost 3 in his last 4 games and is also the first Hammers manager to fail to win any of his first Premier League games in charge since Manuel Pellegrini in 2018, and the pressure will continue to intensify on the former Nottingham Forest boss. Indeed, West Ham's haul of 4 points from their first 9 Premier League games in this season is their joint return over the stage of the league campaign, also picking up just 4 in the second tier in 1932-33 and in 1973-74 in the top flight, both using 3 points for a win. So it is catastrophic. And you see a team like West Ham, they lose the way they've lost, and then obviously you wonder what kind of mistakes owners make when they are thinking about trying to make the best for their club. You think about David Moyes doing really well at West Ham, winning them their European Cup and all of that in the UEFA Europa Conference League. And then obviously they go on to now hire another manager. It didn't work out. Hired another one. It didn't work out. Hired Porter. It didn't work out. And the next thing they are going for Nuno Espirito Santo. And you're expecting, okay, maybe they're going to make something out of it and stuff, and it wasn't to be. Now it looks like it's mistake after mistake after mistake. Same goes for Nottingham Forest, which we'll talk about pretty soon. So the next game we have is the early kickoffs on Saturday, where a big giant actually fell, and that big giant is Chelsea. Chelsea, the supposed world champion, being beaten by Sunderland. Now Chelsea 1, Sunderland 2. Talby's stoppage time winner completes the comeback. Sunderland trailed after 4 minutes against Chelsea, but completed a stunning fight back to snatch a victory at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea losing 2-1 at home, basically. Alejandro Garnacho fired the Blues in front from a tight angle after just 4 minutes with his first goal for the club and the quickest scored by Enzo Maresca's side in the top flight this season. And my guy decided to do his celebration, goes on the billboard, sits down, and the next thing he comes and he does this, like I'm here, Ronaldo celebration, and in the end, Chelsea go on to lose, and he's subbed off in the 56th minute. That is Regis Lebris basically engineered a comeback, basically. So Chelsea were pegged back in the 22nd minute when Wilson Isidore bundled home after Nodi Mukiele's long throw caused chaos in Chelsea's defense. And you think about it, this long throw situation is becoming an issue in the Premier League, and teams will now start to have to find ways to defend it. Long throws, corner kicks is now an issue. People are figuring out how to score and defend and do all this stuff of long throws and stuff. So, but it is what it is. The next thing happens is Sunderland seal the memorable triumph after Brian Brobby brilliantly teed up Talby for a neat first time finish in the dying moments. You got to think about how Brian Brobby got that chance. So Sunderland pinged the ball over the Chelsea defense, and they had Tosin and Chalobah chasing Brobby, and Brobby held the ball when Tosin caught up. And he held Tosin, and Chalobah was just busy, jumping and trying to kind of like defend, not knowing that within split seconds, Brobby turns, holds up play, two Sunderland players chase down, and obviously Brobby turns, one just deceives and one Sunderland player just deceives and runs through, while Talby just comes and slots it at the bottom left of the goalkeeper to secure the win. Sunderland's tally of 17 points is the best return by any promoted side after the opening 9 matches of the season since Hull City in 2008-2009, which was 20. Now, the Black Cats are also unbeaten in each of their last 14 away games in London. They've won 5, drawn 9, extending their longest ever unbeaten run in the English capital. Now, Lebris's side could only have dreamt of that when Garnacho fired Chelsea ahead, becoming the 10th different player to score for Maresca's men in the Premier League this season. However, Sunderland's superb turnaround means that the Blues have now dropped 6 points from winning positions this term alone, more than any other team. So you have to think about it from that perspective, and you see that Sunderland just didn't turn up on the day they were supposed to, and all of that. And I watched the game and I was disappointed with the way. Sorry, Chelsea didn't turn up the way they were supposed to. I watched the match and I was disappointed with the way Chelsea performed on the day, but it is what it is. Next game we followed, obviously, was Newcastle Fulham. This was going on around the same time as the Chelsea game. Newcastle goes from Guimaraes, who scored the second goal, and Jacob Murphy, who scored the first goal. But Fulham got one back after Jacob Murphy scored. It was a goal. Jacob Murphy scored in the 18th minute. Lukic scored in the beginning of the second half, 56th minute, and then 90th minute Guimaraes goal, which came after he missed a chance, a clear header, right? So the losing run for Fulham has stretched to 4 Premier League matches as Newcastle captain Bruno Guimaraes broke their resistance late on. Now, Bruno was the hero in the last minute winner. Handed Newcastle a 2-1 victory over struggling Fulham at St James's Park. Just 1 point and 1 place split the teams in the Premier League table ahead of the Saturday's game, and it looked as though that there would be nothing to separate them on Saturday until the clock struck 90 minutes. Now, Guimaraes was making his 150th start for Newcastle across all competitions on Saturday, and he marked the occasion by continuing his strong run in the front of goal at St James's Park. Now, the Brazilian has now scored 5 goals in his last 10 home games in the Premier League, while Newcastle have their first 90th minute winner in the competition since March 2024, when Harvey Barnes came up with the goods against West Ham. Now, Murphy also continued his hot streak on Tyneside. Among all Premier League players since the start of February, only Mohamed Salah and Erling Haaland, both 13, have scored more home, have more home involvement than Murphy. 5 goals, 7 assists in all competitions. Fulham, meanwhile, have now lost four consecutive Premier League matches for only the second time since returning to the top flight in 22-23, also doing so in April now of 2023. Now, I will have to talk about like one or two Newcastle players and one or two Fulham players. So Votamada, Newcastle player, that guy just gives he just oozes some sort of Berbatov vibes. Such a good player at 21, delivering and doing well and leading from the front. And then the other one is Osula. Osula is another good player, powerful runner, was good on the day, young player as well, was involved in the second goal, the shot that deflected off Ben Leno, who deflected it in the path of Bruno Guimaraes, who just side-footed it in. So these are the two players that performed really well today, and they're both strikers, and they subbed off each other, and they came up with the goods. And we have to talk about Fulham. Calvin Bassey made the mistake that led to the first goal, so it was pretty precarious to watch him do that and all of that. So basically, you have to tell that there's so many things going on with Fulham at the moment, but it is what it is. We have to just basically see how they perform in the next game. And then you look at other players like Guimaraes turning up on the day, Newcastle just kind of showing that they are contending, considering how their start has been in the league. So yeah, Votamada, good player, Osula, good player. And finally, to wrap up this game, it seems that Newcastle have completely moved on from Alexander Isak, who is actually struggling at Liverpool. But which takes me to the game that I also followed closely. Manchester United 4, Brighton and Hove Albion 2. Goals from Matheus Cunha, Casemiro, and 2 goals from Bryan Mbeumo to make Man United's win 4. And Welbeck scored against his former club at Old Trafford at the Stretford end. Scored against his former club at Old Trafford as well. And then we have Kostulas, who scored in the 90th or 90 plus 2 minutes. So the game was pretty interesting. Man United were shaking a little bit at the 70th minute as Ruben Amorim made a substitution that actually almost changed the direction of the game, and then he corrected his subs to give him a comfortable win. We have to think about it from perspective of Manchester United's winning streak continued as they held off a late Brighton surge to earn a 4th straight victory at Old Trafford. Bryan Mbeumo scored twice as Manchester United made it 3 Premier League wins on the bounce with a 4-2 victory over Brighton at Old Trafford. United were forced to see off a late surge from Brighton as Mbeumo settled matters with one of the final touches of Saturday's game. Matheus Cunha also had his first Premier League goal 24 minutes in, bending his effort around Jean-Paul Van Hake. Before Casemiro scored 10 minutes later, thanks to a wicked deflection of Yassine Ayari. Now, Benjamin Sesko and Bruno Fernandes making his 300 appearance, then saw chances go a begging. Sesko hit one and that went wide. Bruno Fernandes hit one that went to the keeper before Mbeumo put the hosts 3-0 up in the 61st minute after an interesting through ball from Benjamin Sesko to get the assist. But Ruben Amorim's men were similarly heading towards a routine victory as former United forward Dan Welbeck dragged Brighton back into it with a stunning free kick moments after Mbeumo had an effort saved onto the post. Also, you have Kostulas heading in the second minute of stoppage time. Yet Mbeumo had the final say when he rifled into the roof of the net in the 96 minutes, sealing United's 4th consecutive home win. And now, despite that nervy nature of the victory, United have now won 3 consecutive Premier League games for the first time since August 2024. Doing so in a single season for the first time since February that year. That's 4 in a row. As a dominant first half performance saw them take a 2-goal plus lead into the break in the 3rd consecutive league game at Old Trafford. The first time that this has happened since November 2008. The high-scoring nature of the match was not reflected in the expected goals, although with United finishing 1.13 XG and from 13 shots, 99 on target, to Brighton's 1.07 XG from 17 shots, 5 on target, the Red Devils ended their visitors' 3-game winning streak at Old Trafford, and now United 9 wins versus Brighton 8 wins is the most played fixture in the Premier League history, never to see a draw. It's a pretty interesting game that we followed and all of that, and it was good to see that Man United is finally kind of gelling and clicking and all of that. Another thing we have to talk about is the last game that took place that day, and that was Brentford versus Liverpool, where Giants fall, or Giants are put to the sword. Brentford 3, Liverpool 2, and the Slot champions suffer 4th straight Premier League defeat. That is, Liverpool suffered their 4th straight Premier League defeat. Now, Liverpool could finish the weekend as low as 9th in the Premier League table, following a 3-2 defeat to informed Brentford. Liverpool slipped to their 4th straight defeat as an aerial bombardment. You know, I talked about this maybe on another channel. I talked about this where Arne Slot is complaining about Liverpool not being able to defend, about Liverpool playing against teams that use long ball. And I said on that channel, he has not met Brentford, because Brentford are long ball, high ball, air ball, long throw specialists. And that was what killed them. As Michael Coyote hurled from the left flank, hurled a throw from the left flank and was flicked on by Christopher Ayer at the near post, allowing Dango Ouattara, their record signing, to acrobatically steer home from close quarters. Florian Wirtz also missed a good chance that he blazed wide to the left of the post, and Brentford went 2-0 up in the 45th minute, and then Liverpool got back within 1 at the stroke of halftime through Milos Kekes, turning Conor Bradley's cross home, as Brentford complained that the halftime whistle had not gone. And a lot of people are talking, but the truth is the ref could have favored Liverpool at some point, and it looks really shady there. Van Dijk's challenge on Ouattara was also initially deemed as taken outside the box until VAR reviewed it and found out that it was inside the box or on the line, which made them award a penalty to Brentford, which Igor Thiago converted, and Igor Thiago is proven to be one of the most informed strikers in the Premier League. But also, Mohamed Salah was on hand to slash home a shot that was crossed to him from what's this guy's name? A brilliant cross from Dominic Szoboszlai crossed a brilliant ball into Salah, which he controlled with his left foot and blasted with his right foot to get them 3-2, to get them a second goal for Liverpool. But Brentford have now won 32% of their games against the reigning Premier League champions, 3 of 9 among all teams to play more than 2 seasons in the competition. Only Manchester United 44%, Liverpool 39%, and Manchester City 38% have a better win percentage in such matches. Ouattara's opener set them on their way, and Brentford have now scored 8 Premier League goals from throw-ins since the start of 24-25 season. More than twice as many as any other side. 8 Premier League goals from throw-ins. It's becoming a problem. It's becoming a menace in the league, right? Now, we have to talk about also Liverpool have now lost as many Premier League games in 25-26 as they did across the entirety of last season, and they still have a lot of games, over 30 games to go. All right, 29 games to go rather. Also, they were just 4 reigning Premier League champions to lose 4 consecutive games after Leicester City in 2016-17. 5. Leicester lost 5. Liverpool themselves in 2020-21 and Man City last season lost 4. Those sides finished 12th, 3rd, and 3rd respectively. So what does that say? Potentially, Liverpool could finish 3rd or 4th, depending on how things pan out. And their fans are already saying they're out of the title race, so we shall see. Salah's wonderful late strike proved a mere consolation, though he is now just 1 goal away from hitting 250 for Liverpool, while his next Premier League goal involvement will take him joint 3rd in the all-time charts alongside Frank Lampard 279 and level with Wayne Rooney 276 for Premier League goal contributions for one club. And I think he did it in record time as well, if we look at the details and the stats. And it was fun to see 2 Liverpool players in Nico Williams. No, not Nico Williams. 1 Liverpool player 2 Liverpool players coming, Kelleher and Jordan Henderson play against their former club. So yeah, those are the games for Saturday, which takes us to the games that happened Sunday. There were 5 games on Sunday. Pretty much Bournemouth 2, Nottingham Forest 0. Bournemouth flying form. They came to 2nd position after that win. They are now 2nd with 18 points. They really did superbly well. They beat Nottingham Forest and subjected Dyche into a second defeat or first defeat in the Premier League. First half goals from Marcos Tavernier and Eli Krupi Jr. This guy superbly ran through the middle, proved the difference at Vitality Stadium where Forest boss Sean Dyche suffered defeat in his first league game in charge. Guess what? The next game is against Manchester United. It's going to be an interesting one to watch. Dyche also made 3 changes at halftime, and his side responded after the break. Morgan Gibbs-White curling the strike that tested George Petrovic, but they were generally lacking in clinical edge and slipped to another defeat. Now, the one thing that I noticed about that Nottingham Forest game was the fact that they were missing too many chances. Now, following Manchester City's loss to Aston Villa, the Cherries leapfrog Pep Guardiola's side to a 2nd place with 18 points, while Forest remain in 18th place on 5 points. So they are on the line of relegation, right? Now, Bournemouth's tally of 18 points after the league, after 9 league matches is their most ever on the stage of top flight season, surpassing 17 points that they picked up in 2018 under Eddie Howe. Marcos Tavernier's goal was the first to be scored directly from the corner since Matos Cunha scored for Wolves against Manchester United in December 2024. Who would have thought of that? I still remember that goal. The winger is also the first, because that Tavernier's goal was a wonderful left-footed goal into. But also, there's this issue that keeps coming up in the Premier League where players go and challenge the goalkeeper and messes things up, push the keeper off the ball, and it messes everything up, right? If you look at it from that perspective. So it is what it is. Also, let's talk about the next thing that happened in that game. Krupi is then doubled the advantage with his 4th Premier League goal of the season, with Eintracht Frankfurt's Chan Uzon 5, the only teenager to net more in the Big 5 European leagues this term. As for Forest, they have failed to score in 4 straight Premier League games for the first time since a run of 5 in November 1994. It is 448 minutes since they last found the net, especially in the Premier League. Then we go to the next game, which we had and followed, particularly in Arsenal versus Crystal Palace. Arsenal did what champions would do, basically. Sadly, sad to say, but Arsenal just kind of both. These are both teams that have not lost any. They've lost fewer games and all of that. But Eberechi Eze came back to haunt Crystal Palace in his first half strike, which sent Arsenal 4 points clear at the top of the Premier League. Arsenal moved 4 points clear at top Premier League as Eberechi Eze's acrobatic volley, ended ended the chances of Crystal Palace winning that game. There was only the moment of that was only the moment of real quality in a dull first half. Basically, pretty boring. Though Mikel Arteta's team were unfortunate not to add to their lead after the interval. But Gabriel Magalhaes who was also excellent in both ends throughout, hit the crossbar with Declan Rice's follow-up kept out on the line by Dean Henderson, while Bukayo Saka curled just wide. So Saka was almost presented with the tap-in by Leandro Trossard, whose nudge into the 6-yard box was cleared at the last moment when Victor Gyökeres headed wide from a teasing Declan Rice corner. Ultimately, though, Eze's goal proved enough as Palace suffered their third defeat in the space of 4 games in all competitions. That was what, Arsenal needed to do to win. Just win it ugly, albeit not playing well. Arsenal have considered just 3 goals. Compare that to widely tipped title rivals Liverpool 14 and Man City 7, who both suffered defeat in the weekend. It is easy to see why the Gunners fans may just be thinking that this could be their year. I've always said this. I don't think it might be, but it is what it is. Key to Arsenal's defensive effort was Gabriel, who made a team-high 6 clearances and won 4 of his 8 aerial duels, as Palace were limited to just 0.47 expected goals. Arsenal, who picked up their 700th Premier League win, have collected 22 points already, and it is the 7th time they have had 22 or more points at this stage of the campaign. In the previous 6, however, the only time they went on to lift the title was in 2003-2004, where they had 23 points after 9 games. So could they do it again and break that? Well, who is to tell? They've bottled it before in the past. They can do it again. So that is my take on Arsenal versus Crystal Palace. We'll go on to the next game, which we followed: Manchester City versus Aston Villa versus Manchester City. Manchester City collapsed to Villa again. Villa, it seems to be Man City's bogey team. Aston Villa 1, Manchester City 0. So the title of this one is Cash on the Money as Emery's men rebound. Aston Villa racked up a 4th straight Premier League win as Matty Cash's first half effort sank Manchester City at Villa Park. Matty Cash, his fine first half strike, which was a beautiful right back banging a shot in the bottom right of the post with his left foot, was enough for Aston Villa to defeat Manchester City in this Premier League at Villa Park. The Poland fullback executed from a well-worked corner to set, and Buendia was the one that created the assist to settle a close counter in the Midlands to steer Villa to a 4th straight Premier League win. Meanwhile, while rebounding from Thursday's Europa League loss to go-ahead Eagles. So, Haaland tried, Tijani Reinders tried, Ryan Cherki tried, everybody tried for City, but it wasn't to be. And City had 2 shots in the entire game, pretty much. Now, Villa have now won 3 straight home Premier League games in a row against City, while they are unbeaten in 31 top-flight home games, when scoring first, winning 26 and drawing 4, since a 4-2 defeat on Arsenal in February 2023. Cash was the hero on the occasion, and the informed fullback has 2 Premier League goals against City in the joint most, and his joint most against, one opponent in the opposition. Also 2 against Burnley. One slight disappointment for Villa was that Buendia limped off the field. in the first half. And obviously, freedom fighter Jadon Sancho was subbed in at the 36th minute and subbed off at the 76th minute. And guess what? He didn't want to shake his manager or talk to his manager. He was walking away. And is he going to fall out with his manager now? And then he sees less playing time, and then he starts all his gimmicks ahead of January transfer window. Maybe, I don't know, maybe he wants to seek another loan move or something, but it's not looking good for Sancho. And that's how the career of a talented player who's barely 23 is falling off. So that is it about Villa versus City. And then we have two more to go, and that is Wolves versus Burnley, which was a 6-pointer game. And I feel sad for this one because Burnley scored and Wolves clawed themselves back. And guess what? Wolves were peppering Burnley at home, peppering them with shots until Burnley got a goal that just kind of put Wolves to the sword. And I smell a situation where Vitor Pereira, who just got a new contract, will probably be fired. But it is what it is. Wolves had the most possession in this game, 57%, 43%, and the highest expected goal considering the number of shots they took, 15 shots to Burnley's 11, and they had 3 big chances to Burnley's 2 big chances. Burnley were leading the game by 3 goals to 2, right? And now it condemns Wolves to the last team in the Premier League. Wolves' terrible season has hit a new low. Lyle Foster's strike sealing the victory deep into stoppage time. Now, Wolves' season hits crisis point as Lyle Foster scored his 5th in the 5th minute of the second half stoppage time to condemn Vitor Pereira's men to a damaging 3-2 defeat at the Molineux. Now, you want to look at it from that. Bellegarde lost the ball in dangerous area. That is when the whistle was. Before that, let's talk about the goal. So Zan Fleming scored twice to put Burnley 2-0 up within the first 30 minutes, beating Sam Johnstone, former Manchester United player and keeper, with a fine first time finish from outside the area, and then escaping Ladislav Krejci to tap home 2-0. Then in the 4 minutes of first half stoppage time, Krejci acrobatically turned Jan Richner Bellegarde's cross into the path of Marshall Munetsi, who actually missed a chance before that and then managed to score a chance. And now he nodded it home to give Wolves, to get them 2-2 up. Now, as full time was looming, Bellegarde lost the ball in dangerous area, and Hannibal, who was a sub, Hannibal Mejbri, former Manchester United player, fed fellow substitute Foster, who also flicked past John Stone to, prompt a furious reaction from the home fans who were booing and who chanted against Fosun International's ownership of the club throughout the game. Wolves are winless heading into November for the 2nd season in a row, propping up the table on 2 points, while Burnley are 16th, 5 points clear of the bottom 3. Wolves did not win a game until match day 11 under Gary O'Neill last season, though the struggles of Southampton, Ipswich Town, and Leicester City ensured their poor start was not terminal. Also, that may not be the case this season. If you look at it, Wolves are just the third team in English top flight history to fail to win any of their first 9 matches in 2 seasons in a row. Now, Bury did so in 1904, 1905, 1905, 1906, while Sunderland replicated that unwanted feat in 2015-16 and 16-17, being relegated in the second of those campaigns. Now, Wolves have also failed to win any of their last 7 home games, 2 draws, 5 defeats, and their longest such run within a single Premier League campaign since the 12-match streak in 2011-2012, when they were last relegated from top flight. Now, Burnley, on the other hand, have won consecutive Premier League games for the first time since a 3-match run in April 2022, with that streak also including a victory over Wolves. So it will be super interesting to see how they perform, how things pan out for Wolves, if they're going to stick with the manager, because I saw somewhere where they said it was said that they had given him a new contract. Now, this one, the last game of the weekend, is the most annoying game I've ever watched, and that is Everton versus Tottenham Hotspur. It was full of a lot of controversies. It was full of goals that were caused as a result of, this new prevalent epidemic of players going on to impede goalkeepers. Players going on to impede goalkeepers when they should be playing fair, right? They go on to impede goalkeepers, hold their hands, and Tottenham Hotspur seems to be the team doing that a lot this season. They condemned Everton to their first defeat at home at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. Mickey van der Ven's first half double helped. Those doubles pushed the goalkeeper, go on and head the ball, dislodge the goalkeeper, and all of that. He helped Tottenham to secure a 3-0 victory over Everton, who were beaten at Hill Dickinson Stadium for the first time. Spurs captain scored twice from corners, nodding clinical close range finishes past Jordan Pickford to put the visitors in total control. Also, Everton had started really well and had potential equalizer ruled out shortly after the opener, with Jack O'Brien's thumping header ruled out after a VAR check. Jack Grealish and Iliman Ndiaye had also been adjudged to be obstructing Guillermo Vicario from the offside position. So the Moyes side threatened to come back with the informed Vicario making fine saves to keep out Beto's overhead kick and Ndiaye's low drive. Now, Everton pressed and peppered Tottenham Hotspurs, but it was, it was in vain. All this was in vain, as Pap Matasar headed home in the 89th minute, meeting former Toffees Richarlison's nod down to secure the 3 points. Now, Spurs climbed to third in the table, 5 points behind leaders Arsenal, while Everton are down in 14th on 11 points. Now, Tottenham are a force to be reckoned with on the road this season, winning more points away from home than any other side in Premier League. In the Premier League, 13, winning 4 and drawing 1. In fact, Spurs have won 4 of their first 5 away games, just 1 fewer than they managed across the whole of 24-25 campaign, winning 5, drawing 2, and losing 12. And after this brace, Van der Ven, who is Spurs' joint top scorer, you can imagine that joint top scorer is the defender in the team. What are the attackers doing, right? Joint top scorer in the top flight since in 25-26, became the first defender to score twice in one game for Spurs since Jan Vertonghen in 2013 rather. As for Everton, they conceded 3 goals in the Premier League for the first time during Moyes' second spell in charge in his 28th game. With this, their heaviest defeat under him since November 2010, a 4-1 loss to West Brom. So what's your take on all of the whole Premier League games that have gone on, especially this weekend? We will do the takeaways from the Premier League, like what we've learned from Premier League games. So you let me know your thoughts and feelings, which game stood out for you. For me, it was the fact that Giants were falling like flies. Aston Villa beating Man City, and the Arsenal sneaking a win as always. And then unpopular people like Bournemouth being second on the table, beating off Nottingham Forest or condemning them to their defeat. And then you also have Sunderland beating Chelsea was another giant killer. Brentford beating Liverpool was also another giant killer, which takes us to the table before we wrap up everything. Here on the table, we have Arsenal leading with 22 points, Bournemouth second with 18 points, and then Tottenham Hotspur third with 17 points, Sunderland fourth with 17 points, with plus 4 goals difference under Tottenham Hotspur. Then Manchester City with 16 points, fifth, and Manchester United coming to sixth position with 16 points, just the same points with Manchester City, and 6 points behind Arsenal. Wow, 22 in first place. Then you have Liverpool, 15 points, in seventh after 9 games with 5 wins, 0 draws, and 4 losses. And then obviously Aston Villa 8th with 15 points, same points with Liverpool, just having lesser goal difference. If not, they condemn Liverpool to 8th. And Chelsea, who were 5th at the beginning of the weekend, are now condemned to 9th with 14 points. And then Crystal Palace with 13 points on 10th. Then from 11th to 20th, we have Brentford with 13, Newcastle with 12 points, Brighton 13th with 12 points, Everton 14th with 11 points, Leeds 15th with 11 points, Burnley 16th with 10 points, Fulham 17th on the borderline of relegation with 8 points, and Nottingham Forest 18th with 5 points, and West Ham 19th with 4 points, and Wolverhampton Wanderers condemned to 20th with 2 points and 2 draws from 5 games and 3 losses in 5. Right, same with Wolverhampton Wanderers, who have 4 losses in the last 5 games with 1 draw, all under Nuno Espirito Santo. And that is pretty much everything we need to know about the Premier League this season, this weekend. We'll continue to talk about, everything, breaking it down step by step and all that. Let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section as we continue to talk about all things football. So if you haven't already, please do like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't have to miss anything as it relates to all things football, Premier League, Spanish La Liga, Champions League, and all of that. So follow elPablo FC on all social media platforms as well. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks so much for liking, sharing, and subscribing. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Goodbye, and God bless.